What's a sentence that completely changed your life? Story 1. You can't heal in the place that makes you sick. My therapist said to me when I told her my husband was abusive. I left him a year later. Story 2. Don't light yourself on fire to warm other people. Impactful during my struggle with anxiety, stress, and panic disorder. Story 3. That which you do unto the least of my people, that you do unto me. I was taught that was in the Bible, but I'm not religious, so I'm not sure lol. The point is, don't treat people like shoot because they're vulnerable or in a worse position than you. Story 4. This is my first time commenting here, but I'd like to share my story. Sorry if it's too long. I remember helping out at a washing station in my small town. The owner was an old lady, very friendly, but passive-aggressive. It never bothered me, but I used to be really shy and quiet. I barely talked, my posture was shoot, and she noticed. So she had a talk with me. She said, if you keep being like this, people will look down on you and you will never be able to have a high rank. From that day on, she made me work at the register, even though I was only 13 and not allowed to based on the law, and she made me walk around with a book on my head for 5 minutes. If it fell, I had to do another 5 minutes, and so on. We became pretty close to the point that she offered me her shop once she'd retire. When it was time for school, she gave me 20 when we said our goodbyes. Of course, it's not a lot, but 13-year-old me was smiling ear to ear. She still greets me and asks me about my life when we meet, and I always try to find a reason to go to her shop, because she's the reason I managed to stand up for myself in situations I would have made myself smaller. I always walk around with my head up now, which I never did. I always looked at the ground, and people told me I've changed a lot and that I've gotten way more confident. I'm really grateful that I've got to meet her. Story 5. You can be the ripest, juiciest peach in the bunch, but there will always be someone who dislikes peaches. By the time I hit 30, I fully understood the analogy and stopped my people-pleasing ways. Story 6. I want you to live. Sounds silly. I wasn't actively tragic and at the time, wasn't having a breakdown or anything. But he said it, and up until that point had been nothing but honest with me, so I knew it was the truth. I stopped feeling terrible about the space I took up in the world, because I think it helped me realize I wanted me to live as well. Story 7. No society can legitimately call itself civilized if a sick person is denied medical aid because of lack of means. Unurin, Nye, Bevan. Answer. My MIL is diabetic. Sometimes her blood sugar will go all the way up to 600. She has told me that her insulin is about 100, so she can't afford to take it every day. Honestly, she has many health problems, but she doesn't want to go broke. It's fudge up that in America, the older you get, you have to choose between your life or darn near going homeless trying to save it. Story 8. Two things can be true at the same time. I forget the original context I heard this in, but it applies to so many situations. Story 9. The best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The second best time is today. Don't wallow in regret. Start today. Story 10. Perception is reality. You may be working hard, but if people perceive you to be lazy, that's their reality. Story 11. I remember picking up a pamphlet in a Buddhist temple and reading the simple idea that Buddhists try to love strangers as much as they love family and friends. I had not been raised to think like this, and it blew my mind. The idea settled into my heart straight away, and I have been working on it ever since. This nudge into spiritual thinking has been really helpful in my life, and is a much nicer road than I was on. Answer. This is very interesting. I was talking to someone yesterday about my ability to love all people. They'd asked why I am so flippant with saying I love you to folks, even when I don't know them. They didn't understand how I could possibly have that much extra love to share. I said that my love isn't finite, and it's very easy for me to find a reason to like someone. Everyone needs a lot of love. And sometimes, my compliment on a t-shirt might be the first kind word they've heard all week. Love is a need. Story 12. I'm sorry, but your father is dead. I was 17. I picked out the casket and made all the funeral decisions cause mom and dad were divorced, and she didn't think it was her place. Story 13. You're not as important as you think you are. Not in a condescending or mean way, but literally everyone has their own shoot going on. No one is judging your outfit or new hair choice. No one can tell you have social anxiety. No one cares that you're eating alone or going to the movies alone. As long as you're not being a jerk, really no one is talking about you the way you think they are. Story 14. You only attract people who are as mentally healthy as you are, both I. Friendships and relationships really made me take stock of who was in my life and what it said about me. Been working hard the last few years to get mentally healthy so I can attract and keep better people in my life. Answer: good for you. I've experienced the same and it really paid off. Only wish I had started sooner. When you do attract good people, it really starts to snowball because they teach you better behaviors and attitudes that can accelerate your progress. For example, my partner has an attitude of gratitude, and it's rubbed off on me. I have friends who are very mindful with their self-care, and I needed a whole roadmap on both of these areas. And then, I have a dog who is always in the present moment. Story 15. Be like the bison. Most animals in the face of a storm will run and hide or seek shelter, but not the bison. The bison will head towards the storm for it knows the storm will pass quicker. Story 16. It's nice to be important. It's more important to be nice. Effort takes zero talent. Anger is one only letter away from danger. Story 17. Maybe someday you'll learn how to be there for the living, not just for the dead. Read that line in a book, and it stuck with me. Helped me through the passing of my father and father-in-law. Most of other family just gave up on life, leaving me what felt alone. Currently on palliative care with my mom and going through this alone again. Some days I myself want to give up, but there are so many people still here on earth that are worth living for, including myself. The best way I could honor those who wanted so badly to live is not waste the precious time I have being miserable. Story 18. It's not about not caring what anyone thinks. It's about not caring what just anyone thinks. Once you find your people, their opinions definitely should be valued. Hard to see it when you've never been supported. Story 19. Acting is a great way to get rich, but a horrible way to make a living. My acting coach told me that at 23. I realized I didn't want to throw away a comfortable life to try and reach for some pipe dream. Now at 29 I'm an electrician making almost $100K yearly. Story 20. You wouldn't worry nearly so much what people think of you if you realized how infrequently they do. Story 21. Assess yourself often and try your hardest to improve. Assess others occasionally and don't expect them to change too much. Story 22. If you stay ahead, you'll never get behind. My old manager at Red Lobster told me this in 2008. I was the nighttime prep cook, and for some reason this has always stuck with me. I don't work in the restaurant business anymore, thank God. No offense to those that do. But I still apply this to my current job. Story 23. Our situation is this. Most people in this world believe that the creator of the universe has written a book. Sam Harris. Story 24. Are you more interested in being heard or being effective? Said to me my mentor when I was a young executive. Completely changed my life. Story 25. Nice is not the same as good. The best thing I've ever heard. Makes it much easier to understand people. Story 26. You have cancer changed my life the first time I heard it in 2004 and the 20 recurrences since. Still fighting. Story 27. How long are you going to let yourself suffer? Said by my first therapist when I didn't want to take antidepressants. Story 28. Forgive me for my two-sentence answer. Tipsy dial your elected representatives. Nobody can stop you. Story 29. I've got two, probably seen from somewhere on the internet, so I can't properly credit. Others may bring out the best in you, but that best still belongs to you. Money will return, time will not. Story 30. It's a selfish world. People will use you and throw you in the garbage when you are of no use anymore to them. They will, without a second thought, throw you under the bus to save their jerk. My first manager. Story 31. Don't be an idiot. It changed my life. Now, before I do something, I ask, would an idiot do this? If they would, I don't do that thing. Story 32. It is possible to commit no mistakes and still lose. That is not weakness, that is life. Excellent advice from Jean-Luc Picard. Story 33. If you're going to cry, cry the whole way, but just go. My son said this to me when I was leaving his father. I was questioning my decision and just scared. I was expecting him to say, okay, maybe you should stay and keep trying. But even he knew. He was 17 at the time. Those words still sit with me. Story 34. If you are willing to look at another person's behavior towards you as a reflection of the state of their relationship with themselves rather than a statement about your value as a person, then you will, over a period of time, cease to react at all. Yogi Bhajan. Story 35. Paraphrasing here, but both the past and the future are just thoughts arising in the present, so the present is all that really matters. This has eased my mind as a sufferer of anxiety. Story 36. When you have too many balls in the air, remember that some are glass but most are plastic, and it's okay to let the plastic ones drop. I started going to therapy when my middle child was going through some severe mental health stuff. My youngest was a toddler, and I was working full-time. I was getting panic attacks from the stress, and this was the most useful thing she told me. Nobody was being harder on me than myself. Story 37. Hanlon's principle. Never attribute to malice that which is adequately explained by stupidity. The world became less menacing and cruel. A lot dumber, though. I can laugh at dumb. Story 38. Our problem started when you lost weight and started acting all confident. My ex-narcissistic abuser. Story 39. Say it loud. I'm black and am proud. James Brown, 1968 release. Totally changed my self-esteem and outlook on life. As a dark-skinned male child in Alabama in the 60s, I pretty much bore the disdain of everyone, including other black people. Among ourselves, if you really wanted to insult somebody, you didn't just call them an N, you called them a black N-word. James Brown changed that for me, and that is why, to this day, I don't refer to myself as African American. I proudly call myself black. Story 40. If you don't listen to your body when it speaks quietly, you will have to listen to it when it speaks loudly. Story 41. You will be amazed at what you attract after you start believing in what you deserve. I read this quote 1.5 years ago and decided it was time to start living by it. My life has changed so much for the better. Story 42. When I was struggling to let go of a toxic friend group because I feared being alone, someone asked, "So you drink poison because you're thirsty?" Story 43. True love isn't transactional. My husband said this after watching me constantly try to prove my worth. Story 44. Do you want to be right or do you want to be happy? And I don't want to see you become a person that life just happens to. Story 45. I'd do anything to look like you. Context for those who care. I've had low self-esteem and confidence my entire life. Convinced I'm a 5'10" fair, but nothing to write home about. One day, a colleague of mine said, "We're the two best-looking people in here by far." I asked what he meant by that. He said that he'd do anything to look like me. Happened a few months back has now helped me find my confidence shout-out. ex-work colleague. He has no idea the difference he's made. Story 46. Taking the Lord's name in vain is not about swearing. It's about misusing religion to justify oppression and manipulation. Story 47. You don't have to like it. You just have to do it. My dad. I don't have to like getting into the gym and working out. I just have to do it. I don't have to like eating healthy food most of the time. I just have to do it. I don't have to like saving 10 of my paycheck rather than spending it on fun stuff. I just have to do it. I don't have to like getting up early and putting in long days at work. I just have to do it. Story 48. Nobody knows what they're doing. I used to have so much self-doubt until I realized literally everyone is making it up as they go along and trying their best. Nobody just knows what they're doing 100 of the time. In that moment, I realized I can do so much more than I thought I could because I didn't need to know how. I just need to be able to figure it out, and I know that I can figure it out. Story 49. Don't sweat the small stuff, and everything is small stuff. It'll all work out in the end, and if it doesn't, then it's not the end. Story 50. Bad shoot is going to find all of us in life no matter what we do. Why are you standing around crying and waiting for it and not focusing on all the good shoot? Not quite verbatim, but close to what I recall. My old landlady said that to me when I was a mopey, self-absorbed, woe-is-me 20-something. She had lost 2 of her kids tragically, faced several personal challenges like surviving stage 4 cancer and losing her home to a fire. She said it so plainly and clearly and then casually turned back to her rose garden and continued clipping as I stood there having an epiphany over what she'd just said. Story 51. Completely changed your life, maybe a stretch. But I was inspired by a line from a song from the TV show Futurama. When push comes to shove, you've got to do what you love even if it's not a good idea. If something gives you pleasure and doesn't come at the expense of anyone else's, what more reason do you need? Story 52. Your brain is lying to you. When you hear that negative inner voice bully you and be mean to you, don't listen. Your brain is lying to you. When you have that thought that things will never get better, that you will always feel this bad or sad, you won't. Your brain is lying to you. Story 53. Did you choose to be straight or are you just straight? Made me pause, reframe, and begin to correct my homophobic philosophy. Story 54. When I confided in someone about something I was afraid to do, he said, "You can do it because you are real name." It changed my life and outlook forever for the better. Story 55. Find your grandparents or someone of age. Pay some respects to the path that they paved, to the life that they were dedicated. Now, that should be celebrated. Neon Gravestones by 21 Pilots. Hit me so hard as a 15-year-old who felt completely alone in the world at that point and needed a purpose to live. Story 56. If you want to have the things you've never had before, you have to do some things you've never done before. Story 57. I would rather have questions that I can't answer than answers that I can't question. Richard Feynman. Story 58. Not everyone's going to be your friend. You need to differentiate between friends and acquaintances, Jay. A friend is a person that cares about you. An acquaintance is someone you know. I was roughly 18-19, and my manager at Circuit City told me this after a person I know just straight up used me, and I was pretty upset going to work. My manager, Gene, explained it further and said, "You can't trust everyone wholeheartedly," and that he understood that I'm a very nice person. He told me that there are people out there that take advantage of nice people and dislike to see one that hurts. Gene, you're a great manager. Thanks, wherever you are. I teach my kids this when necessary. Story 59. Don't sacrifice your breaks or feel obligated to stay late because I promise you, even if you were able to fully clear the queue out by end of day, there will always be a full queue to tackle tomorrow morning. Don't burn yourself out over something you will not only never get recognized, acknowledged for, but won't get compensated for with a raise either. Story 60. My very southern grandma always said, in the good book, it says, and it came to pass, not, and it came to stay. All things come to an end. This has helped so many times. Perspective, y'all. Story 61. Anais Nin quote, and the day came when the risk to remain tight in a bud was more painful than the risk it took to blossom. Story 62. Your dad's in the hospital. 5 weeks later, he died. Had a brain bleed that led to strokes, went into a coma, never came out. My dad was my best friend. From the time I can remember, all I wanted to do was hang out with my dad. We worked together and did hobbies together. He was more than just my father and my best friend. He was the only person I've ever known that I could truly be myself around without any fear of judgment. My wife is close, but it's just not the same. I don't know how to describe it without sounding dumb, but my soul has been alone since he's passed. I have a big family and friends, and now my wife. But I still feel alone every day. I know that sounds weird, but after he died, I had to get a new job, completely change my life, and learn to truly be self-dependent. Him passing has definitely made me change from a child to a man. I'm thankful for that aspect. It's been 7 years, and I still miss my best friend every single day. Story 63. This isn't the only one, but it's the first one. My English teacher once quoted a movie, "It's supposed to be hard. If it was easy, everyone would do it. It's the hard that makes it great." I was 16 and suffering terribly from depression for the first, but not last, time. Every time I feel I can't go on, that quote echoes in my head. Now I'm at a point where I'm no longer depressed and enjoy life again. Many friends and loved ones have pointed out how stubborn I am, no matter how much life kicks me around. He'll never know how he changed the course of my life. Story 64. Even if you're in the deep end of the pool, just try to float. Don't let yourself sink, even if it means making a fool of yourself. Eventually, you'll find yourself in the shallow end where you can plant your feet. My mom told me this after a seriously severe depressive episode that put me in the hospital. I couldn't handle existing anymore, and I was struggling to get through it. I used to compare my depression to being in a hole with knives, having to stand completely still to avoid being cut. But when she used that metaphor, I've since given that metaphor out to every single person that I've ever seen struggling in my life. It makes a world of difference. Story 65. You cannot dislike yourself into a version of yourself that you love. Only self-compassion and kindness can do that. Or something to that effect. Story 66. Stop playing the victim and take responsibility for your choices. It changed my life, along with getting sober and getting mental health treatment. Story 67. Desiderata. My dad's mantra. Go placidly amid the noise and the haste, and remember what peace there may be in silence, as far as possible, without surrender. Be on good terms with all persons. Speak your truth quietly and clearly. And listen to others, even to the dull and the ignorant. They too have their story. Avoid loud and aggressive persons. They are vexatious to the spirit. If you compare yourself with others, you may become vain or bitter, for always there will be greater and lesser persons than yourself. Enjoy your achievements as well as your plans. Keep interested in your own career, however humble. It is a real possession in the changing fortunes of time. Exercise caution in your business affairs, for the world is full of trickery. But let this not blind you to what virtue there is. Many persons strive for high ideals, and everywhere life is full of heroism. Be yourself. Especially do not feign affection. Neither be cynical about love, for in the face of all aridity and disenchantment, it is as perennial as the grass. Take kindly the counsel of the years, gracefully surrendering the things of youth. Nurture strength of spirit to shield you in sudden misfortune. But do not distress yourself with dark imaginings. Many fears are born of fatigue and loneliness. Beyond a wholesome discipline, be gentle with yourself. You are a child of the universe no less than the trees and the stars. You have a right to be here. And whether or not it is clear to you, no doubt the universe is unfolding as it should. Therefore, be at peace with God, whatever you conceive him to be. And whatever your labors and aspirations in the noisy confusion of life, keep peace in your soul. With all its sham, drudgery, and broken dreams, it is still a beautiful world. Be cheerful. Strive to be happy. Story 68. I have two. My mom in regards to me coming out about my stepdad. You don't act like someone who was a Sayed, so I don't believe you. My aunt, who I was made to live with during the trial and stuff, after I asked if she believed me, I believe that you believe it happened. This two sentences shattered me, and I lost all trust in anyone after that. After I got to a place mentally where I could start healing, I would think of those words to become more stable. Basically, I survived those few years out of pure spite. Story 69. So you want to get paid to lie? My dad said that to me in front of others when I talked about becoming a meteorologist, which was my dream. Weather was my passion and obsession. I wanted to be a meteorologist at such an early age. I believe it was around 4 years old. My father, whom I love very much, said this in front of a bunch of people who all laughed when I was about 10-12 years old. My passion was stomped out, and I can't even tell you the names of different clouds now. I believe this really derailed my life path. It's burned into my memory and makes me sad at times when I think about it. Now I'm just a loser trying to figure out what to do with this life. Oh well. Story 70. Fiduciary responsibility is irresponsible, and it is the job of the little guy to look out for the big guys. Keep churning the wheel, 'cause life don't stop. Story 71. It is not your fault. Just like that movie, Good Will Hunting, I think, was the name of it. Hit me like the actor portrayed. Most powerful words ever said to me. Story 72. Whatever you put out into the world, whether kindness or harm, will always find its way back to you, sometimes in ways you least expect, and often twice as strong. Story 73. And some that die deserve life. Can you give it to them? From Lord of the Rings was the thing that crystallized my opposition to the passing penalty. The full quote is, "Many that live deserve passing, and some that die deserve life. Can you give it to them? Then do not be too eager to deal out passing in judgment, for even the very wise cannot see all ends." Story 74. You won't be able to get the required security clearance due to your recent bipolar diagnosis. 7 years of uni down the drain. Story 75. I got married, and my dad told my husband to control me better. My husband told him, no one controls her. Story 76. Always tell people how much you appreciate what they do, even if it's their job. A simple thank you goes a long way towards making people feel appreciated and valued. My first boss taught me that, and it's a lesson I took to heart. Story 77. A hero is an ordinary individual who finds the strength to persevere and endure in spite of overwhelming obstacles. Story 78. You are allowed to cut off toxic people, even if you are related. My brother and I have been low contact for several years. He came to my son's grad party a week ago. He insulted myself, my mom, my husband, and my deceased mother-in-law. I have no-blocked him everywhere. My parents are freaking out because I told them I won't be attending holiday events anymore. I'm not asking them to choose. We can celebrate on a different day. I'm tired of hearing, but he is your brother. Biologically, yes, he is, but I don't consider him family anymore. Story 79. Everything falls by its own weight. A friend said it in Spanish to me over 30 years ago, and I translated it. It liberated me from fretting about other people's bad behavior or feeling a need to do anything about it. En español, todo cae por su propio peso. Story 80. Take the extra 5 minutes now. It'll save you 5 hours later. My dad when talking about preparing for anything. Story 81. Recently, someone told me that if you accidentally overhear something, you were actually meant to hear it. Story 82. You can't buy time. My husband said this to me when I was working all the hours to get us things, and he was missing me. I wrote it down and put it on the fridge until it was firmly set in my head. Story 83. That there's some good in this world, Mr. Frodo, and it's worth fighting for. Samwise Gamgee, Lord of the Rings. Story 84. Sometimes all the choices you have are bad ones, but you still have to choose. The 12th Doctor, and from the same character, never be cruel, never be cowardly. Dislike is always foolish. Love is always wise. Always try to be nice, but never fail to be kind. Story 85. Worrying means you suffer twice. I used to have major anxiety because I would always think people were judging me. My therapist said, "Who cares?" And I said, "Me." And she's like, "Well, are you going to go up to them and ask what you think they're thinking or saying about you?" I said, "No, LOL." And she goes, "Then move on. Even if they are, if you're not going to say anything, why give them your energy?" It took me a while to realize I was creating so much anxiety by worrying about hypotheticals. Don't get me wrong, I still worry sometimes, but I'm quicker to get over it. Story 86. If I'm thinking positively, don't worry about the things you can't control. It's always a net loss. If I'm thinking negatively, you have leukemia. Oddly enough, the positive came from the negative. Story 87. Keep that sense of humor. It's critical. My dad said that to me as he shook my hand when I left for basic military training. He was so right. What a shootstorm life has been since then. Almost 20 years ago. Story 88. My father, with tears in his eyes. Stop saying you're going to do something and just do it. He's not an emotional man, and he was very right about my being more word than action. Now he's shocked when I just do something without discussion. First Lolo. Story 89. Has a grown man with a male body part and balls has completely changed my view of immature behavior. Like, you're seriously talking about people behind their back instead of having a discussion? Aren't you a grown man with a male body part and balls? Works with any simplification of adulthood TBH. You've been on this earth for 35 years and you don't know how to follow a recipe to cook a meal? Story 90. At some point, you will need to choose who you are going to be, regardless of what other people have done to you. Story 91. I was playing Pokemon last night, and one of the characters said this as part of the storyline. It's like I always say, behavior is a mirror that reflects one's true nature. You let your actions do the speaking for you, and the message is clear as day. I felt so called out. Now, I'm sitting here getting my life together. It's to the point, and so real. Story 92. It's not the end yet. Let's stay with it. It was a fortune cookie I got when I was 16. I was deeply depressed and really on the verge of eliminate myself. Don't worry, I am doing much better now. Something about it just stuck with me, and it kept me going. I've never forgotten it. It stays with me always. Story 93. Listen, life is hard for everyone. Stop complaining. Then I stopped. And I feel better now. And I can forgive people for what they did because I know they have also a difficult life. And we all do our best with what we have. Story 94. The pain you feel today is the weakness leaving you, and it'll be the strength that you'll feel tomorrow. Story 95. You have no idea how people would feel if you weren't here. My brother telling the positive effect I have on people, and I had no idea. Story 96. Anger is a secondary emotion. Sadness or fear lies underneath it. He who angers you conquers you. Believe the pattern, not the person. Great people plant trees they will never find shade in. I could go on, but it'll stop at 4 Loel. Story 97. Nobody will care about you more than you have to care about you. As a chronic people pleaser, I need to remind myself that it's good to help others, but it can't always be at my expense. Always be your biggest advocate. Story 98. Youth is partied too hard on the young. You spend the first 25 years of your life trying to make a name for yourself. You then spend the next 25 years trying to lose that name. Story 99. Whenever I'm about to do something, I think, would an idiot do that? And if they would, I do not do that thing. Dwight. Story 100. I don't want to do that. Spouse regarding being asked about taking out student loans so I could go back to school and get my degree so I wouldn't have to work minimum wage jobs the rest of my life. Story 101. I was a student aide in high school for the counselor's office. The first day, the counselor said he wanted to ask me a question and didn't want an answer till the end of the semester. He said, "Whose fault is it?" Till this day, 23 years later, I think about that a lot. My answer was myself. An individual's choices and actions all have consequences. Granted, some things that happen truly aren't an individual's fault, like wrong place, wrong time, etc. One love. Story 102. 1. Grief is the price we pay for love. And for the win. 2. Never care more for a person than they themselves care. 2 was instrumental in me not wasting my life saving, fixing, begging, pleading, helping FK cups. Have her hit together or be gone. Story 103. One I learned from a therapist, so treated me for anxiety. Thoughts are not facts. No exaggeration. That sentence probably saved my life. Story 104. You know, it's okay to be kind. I was taught that I'm always too kind, and that is stupid and a weakness. Story 105. I don't love you, and I never have. I thought marrying you would force feelings to develop. I died that day. Story 106. There are two states in the capitalism world. You're either making money or spending money. You can do one or the other, and sometimes both, but you can't ever do neither. Story 107. When one door closes, many more open. My teacher for next year told me this. We had a meeting, and I was ashamed to do this program because I am a high school dropout. But she said those words and reminded me that I am not taking a step back. I am taking one forward. Story 108. Before I do anything, I ask myself, would an idiot do that? And if the answer is yes, I do not do that thing. Story 109. If you do something, then don't do it to gain anything from it. Do it because you want to, and because it's genuine. Story 110. This is my fault, and I'm going to fix it. I had a small business, usually 20 to 30 employees, served the public, like a contractor, I guess. Anytime a customer was upset or an employee was freaking out over a screw-up, I took the blame responsibility. Story 111. Never attribute to malice what can be attributed to incompetence. It's easy to think people have bad intentions. But once you realize that most of us are stupid and can be easily self-absorbed a lot of the time, it somehow makes it easier to handle minor inconveniences. Story 112. I can't wait to be inside you again. A text I saw over the shoulder of my then husband while we were laying in bed together after I finished putting our toddler down for bed and 4 months pregnant. I left for good 4 days after. Restarted my life from the bottom up and am happier and more fulfilled for it. Wish I didn't have to experience that trauma, but it got me to a better place overall. Story 113. Control the controllables. As someone who is struggling to get any job at the moment, and the job market looks like garbage, especially if you are international student, recent grad in Australia, that sentence helped me. Now I focus on what I can control. Things like physical fitness, eating healthy, spending quality time with my loved ones, and most importantly, upskilling. Yes, there are frequent thoughts of how much I dislike being jobless when everyone else around me seems to find jobs like they have magical powers. But then I try to look at it as my luck being shoot at the moment. I can control the job market or if the recruiter will like me or not, but I can definitely control how much I word hard. Story 114. Whenever you're struggling to be patient with someone, remind yourself to be thankful that you don't have whatever problem that person has that makes you have to be patient with them. Story 115. It's a quote from The Sopranos, but it struck me so hard. It's like the fudge regularness of life is too fudge hard for me. Story 116. I can't think of any single sentence that was, on its own, life changing. I feel people are a little more complex than that.